There is a small, almost forgotten town in the middle of America, a place that rarely appears on any map, a place where time seems slower, heavier, and strangely tired. If you drive past it, you might not even notice it, but if you stop, if you listen carefully, you may feel something unusual in the air, something quiet yet deeply unsettling. This is the story of one ordinary man from that town, a man whose life was so simple and boring that nobody ever imagined it would become one of the most mysterious and heartbreaking stories in modern history. His name was Daniel Harper. He was not rich, not famous, not powerful. He worked in a small record office, organizing old files, documents, and dusty papers that nobody wanted to see. Every morning, he woke up at 6, drank the same black coffee, ate the same dry toast, and left for work at the same time. His neighbors often joked that even the clock in his house could predict his movements. Nothing ever changed in his life. At least, that is what everyone believed. Daniel had grown up in this town. His father had been a factory worker and his mother a school teacher. They lived a modest life, full of routine and silence. When Daniel was a child, he was quiet and thoughtful. He loved reading history books. He was fascinated by stories of wars, migrations, lost civilizations, and forgotten people. But as he grew older, reality replaced dreams. After his parents passed away, he stopped reading, stopped dreaming, and simply continued living. The town itself had a long history, though nobody cared much about it. In the early 19th century, it had been a busy railway hub. Later, factories were built, attracting thousands of workers. But by the late 20th century, the factories closed, the railway stopped, and the people slowly left. Houses were abandoned, shops were shut down, schools had fewer children every year. The town became quiet, almost invisible. Daniel's job was inside an old municipal building. The building had a basement where thousands of old records were stored: birth certificates, death reports, land ownership papers, immigration files, war records, documents dating back more than 100 years. Most employees hated going there because it was cold, dark, and smelled like mold. But Daniel did not mind. He liked the silence. One winter morning, something unusual happened. A storm had passed during the night. Snow covered the streets, and the town looked even more lifeless than usual. Daniel arrived early, as always. When he entered the office, he found a letter on his desk. There was no stamp, no sender, only his name written in careful handwriting. He opened it. Inside, there was a single sentence: "Some people in this town were never meant to exist." Daniel frowned. He thought it was a prank, perhaps a bored coworker. He put the letter aside and continued his work. But that sentence stayed in his mind. All day he felt uneasy. In the afternoon, his supervisor asked him to organize a new set of old records found in the basement. These files had been discovered behind a sealed wall during renovation. Nobody knew they existed. Daniel was curious. He went down to the basement and opened the dusty boxes. The first thing he noticed was the dates. Most files were from the 1940s and 1950s, the period after the Second World War. The documents were strange. Many names had no birthplaces. Many families appeared suddenly in the town with no previous records. Some people had multiple identities. Some children had no parents listed. Daniel worked late that day. He forgot about the time. As he read more, a pattern appeared. Entire groups of people had arrived in the town at the same time. They lived for years, then disappeared. No death records, no relocation, just silence. At first, he assumed poor record keeping, but the more he read, the more uneasy he became. One name appeared again and again in different files. The name was Eleanor Shaw. She had different addresses, different jobs, and even different ages in different years. But the photograph attached to some documents showed the same woman. Daniel copied some files and took them home. That night, he could not sleep. He searched the internet. There was almost no information, only one mention, a missing persons case from 1957. Eleanor Shaw had disappeared. The next day, Daniel returned to the basement. He found more files. This time, he discovered something shocking. There were reports marked confidential. They described secret government activity in the town, experiments, psychological studies, population observation. Daniel felt cold. Why here? Why this town? Over the next weeks, Daniel became obsessed. His routine broke. He stopped eating properly. He stopped talking to people. He spent every free moment reading. He discovered that after the war, many small American towns were used for classified programs. Some were social experiments. Some tested surveillance methods. Some studied human behavior under isolation and decline. But this town was different. According to the documents, people were relocated here without full awareness. Some were immigrants. Some were war refugees. Some were individuals with no family. The government observed how they built communities, how they reacted to economic collapse, and how they behaved under long-term boredom and decline. Daniel was shocked. His own town had been an experiment. One night, while reading, he noticed something that changed everything. A list of subjects. Many names were marked inactive. Some were deceased, some relocated, but a few were marked continuing. One of the names was Daniel Harper. He stared at the paper for a long time. He thought it was a mistake, but the file included his birth date, his parents' names, his address. His hands trembled. Was his life planned? Was his routine observed? Were his parents part of the experiment? He returned to the basement the next morning, but the files were gone. The boxes had disappeared. He asked his supervisor. The supervisor said no such boxes had existed. Daniel felt panic. He went home and checked the copies he had made. They were still there. From that moment, Daniel felt watched. He noticed strange cars. He heard footsteps at night, phone calls with silence on the line. Months passed. His mental state declined. People in the town began avoiding him. They thought he was paranoid. But Daniel continued searching. He interviewed old residents. Some remembered unusual events, people who appeared and disappeared, government vehicles, strange surveys. One elderly woman told him that in the 1950s, children were tested in school without explanation. She said her brother had been taken away after failing some test. Daniel recorded everything. Then one day, the elderly woman was gone. The nursing home said she had been transferred, but they had no record of where. Daniel realized something terrifying. The experiment might not have ended. Years passed. Daniel grew older. He never married. He never left the town. He spent his life collecting evidence. In 2010, he finally sent a large package to several journalists. The package included documents, recordings, and his own notes. Some journalists tried to investigate, but official sources denied everything. A few months later, Daniel disappeared. His house was empty. His files were gone. His car was found near an abandoned railway. No body was found. The story spread online. Many people believed it was fiction. Others believed it was real. Today, the town exists. It remains quiet, boring, and forgotten. But some visitors say that if you walk at night, you may see lights in buildings that should be empty. You may notice cameras where there should be none. And sometimes, if you listen carefully, you may hear footsteps following you, slow and patient. Because perhaps, somewhere, someone is still watching. And perhaps some lives are still part of an experiment that never truly ended.